Okay.
All right. Yeah, it seemed like everyone had a pretty successful week in getting their PRs merged up and everything. I think, yeah, we can start today with some demos. If either of the pairs would like to volunteer to go first, you can kind of just maybe show some code, maybe show, the local project, if what you did resulted in some UI changes at all. And then, yeah, maybe just share, something you felt like you learned or that was interesting, that you got out of it. If there's something like that, don't feel like you have to, but that's an option. But yeah, does any pair want to go first? I'm happy to just randomly choose a pair. So let's just do that. Let's see, who do I here have on my left? Olivia and Hanson. Either of you want to share
Okay.
your screen?
Yes. It says host disabled screen sharing.
Lauren, you might have to enable that.
All right, try one more time.
Okay. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right. So Olivia and I got a pretty straightforward task this week. Let's see. So we had to basically get the anchor tags working or the links working on the homepage. And so we did that by replacing the nav links or replacing the anchor tags with the nav links. And we also imported nav link on top through React router DOM. And that was basically it. I think I learned that navlink navlink comes with an active class, and in layout it already had this here. So let me switch my screen. To the actual, and then with the active class, and the nav link, we're able to navigate through. And with the active one, it makes the underline of bigger with the active class. Olivia, did you want to add any comments to this?
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward piece of code to write. We spent most of our time pair programming, getting our fingies into the repo, and we did some like live share coding on VS Code, which was new for me. So that was fun to pick that up from Hanson. And then yeah, we just sort of like talked a little bit and shared about like our history and what we knew and browsed through the repo, which was I think a nice use of time when we had such a simple ticket to do this week.
Yeah,
Totally.
I think most of it was just getting used to the code base and getting to know each other, which is pretty good. So yeah, I had fun this week.
Yeah.
Great. Had either of you used React Router DOM before?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Sweet.
But the live link was new. I've only used like just links. So
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Nice. Great job. Cool. Does the other group want to demo their work?
Lizzie is smiling. I can go. Okay, let me share. Oh, you don't want to see my calendar. So this is basically all we did. Pretty simple as well, but like the other group, I think this week is more like getting to know each other and also trying to figure out, the relationships where we're passing the props and just kind of going through different folders to see the structure of the files. Yeah, so basically what we're doing is because it's an array of objects, so we need to map it through. Let's go to list item really quick. So you can see it's rendering list. And let's go back. So we need to map it through, and then for each rendering, we need to, because it's a React, so it needs a key, and we're passing the props name here. And let's see the actual, let's click on list. Thank you for the other groups. List link is working, and then here's what we are rendering for all the items that's currently in the database.
Yeah, great job. Was there anything that you learned from like the code base in general that was surprising, or is it all pretty straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward, but obviously I need to learn more about the database because I haven't really worked with what's the name of the database? I don't even, let's see.
Firestore or
Yeah,
like
Firestore. Yeah,
database.
have to look into, you know, when you go to the app, kind of look through the code and what does it mean. Yeah. Lizzie, do you have anything?
Sweet.
Yeah, just orienting ourselves to the code base. Thank you, Yufa, for being so wise and calm for my week. I needed that. But yeah, just like orienting ourselves, finding out like when they say data, where is the data coming from, and kind of poking back a level and figuring out where that's coming from. But yeah, it was fairly straightforward. Thank you for the merciful, easy ticket.
No problem. I mean, like I think you all surmised, this is kind of pretty simple code this week. But yeah, just getting to know each other, getting to know the code base, that's all equally important to the code itself. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. Cool. Anyone else have anything they want to add before we move on to a learning module? All right, well, let's just do it then. I think our learning module this week is going to be about code reviews, which I think everyone was able to do a little bit of this past week. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting to kind of compare, you know, kind of what code reviews were to you, like intuitively versus, yeah, how we'll present it in this slideshow. Lauren, do you want me to share, or do you have the slides up?
I have it pulled up.
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll just tag team.
Sounds good.
Okay, code reviews. So this isn't a very long learning module, but we'll go through what is a code review, the code review cycle, what makes a code review a great code review, how I can help others review my code, how I can review others' code, and finally exploring code in GitHub. Do you want to just alternate slides, Tim?
Sure. Yeah, so what is a code review? Code review is a conversation about a set of changes. It's one of the best spaces to share knowledge and learn from others. It's a collaboration space where you can share your work and ask questions. It'll help you improve as a developer, and it'll help your team decentralize knowledge, share responsibility, and improve code base quality. I think all that's pretty straightforward. But if anyone has any like specific questions or thoughts or feelings, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, and I'll say this part really is really important, decentralizing knowledge, because especially with my team, we're currently working on a project that there was a pause. And so when we're going to work on stuff again, it's your memory can be faulty. And so actually having a lot of detailed information in these reviews in both like the pull requests and also the comments has really helped onboard other people and also remember when you're adding future features that are related. So this is really helpful. So the code review cycle, which actually you guys were right on the money this week, so there wasn't too much of a feedback loop, but it's to open a pull request, receive feedback, make changes. I think one of the changes was Viviana suggested taking out the to-dos, so both of you removed to-dos, and then you got the approvals, and then merge.
Yeah, and so what makes a code review a great code review? Here's some of the things. Don't focus on stylistic changes. That's like, your code formatting, or yeah, semicolons, spaces. And then there's also just kind of, superficial things, like variable names, things like that. It's like, on some level, like those are certainly important. And that's something that you want to, be mindful of in your own code. But when you're doing a code review, that's kind of a different space than when you're writing code. And so, yeah, you want to make sure that you actually try the features locally, or in a test environment to know that it's actually working. Because sometimes it's easy to think, oh yeah, this looks correct. So I'm just going to assume it works. And then, yeah, whether you'll understand the code a month from now is a good thing to think about. And yeah, and then phrasing and default to approval and being kind and empathetic. I feel like these all kind of go together, which is just like, you want your code reviews to be positive. Even when there's changes that need to be made, understand that those are changes that we're making as a team. This is not changes like, oh, the other person messed up and they need to do a better job. This is like, oh, we're all kind of growing together and trying to perfect the code base, like, collectively, because it is collective ownership. I think that's important. And then, as a person who is writing the code, you want to help others understand the changes that you had made, and answer all questions that are either, in your issues, in your tickets, or even questions that are brought up from other people in the code review. You just want to make sure all your bases are covered, and take your time, because it's like coding. It's really easy to just kind of overlook something. So yeah, you want to take your time and make sure you're kind of being as careful as possible.
Yeah, and this default to approval thing, if you find something that's kind of small, but you want to comment on it, sometimes it's nice to write the comments like, hey, I think this should be changed, or these are my thoughts as to why, but then you're also approving it and kind of it's showing that you're kind of just trusting that they will fix it and then merge, because if you don't approve, then it can just delay the process. So they'll have to wait for you to come back. So if it's small enough that, you'll trust that it'll just get updated and it's not breaking something, then this is a nice thing to do just to keep it moving forward.
Good call.
I only say that too because most of my team members are really great about being fast, but some are not. So, okay. So as Tim mentioned, run the code. So try the feature out locally and or in a test environment. This will give you confidence that, again, you're not just trusting that reading it was okay, but you see that it is functioning as expected. It helps you find things that you wouldn't find from just a skim, including those warning. A lot of times the warnings that they give are pretty useful or should be addressed sooner than later. Resist the temptation to skip it. That looks good to me, because if a bug is introduced, you'll end up, your team will pay for it later. And a PR can include instructions on how to run the code depending on the team. So we're trying to do that in ours now, just to get that as part of a habit. But it's really nice, especially if, let's say, you added a dependency and someone needs to run npm install in order to test it or something, if you include that. Yeah, and if you're not sure how, ask questions. It's great to learn from each other in the pull review process.
How can I help others review my code? Adding a meaningful PR description, wherever possible, write meaningful commit messages, self-review your own code. This is like, even, after you make your last commits, explain why you did what you did, ask questions, even if you're the one creating the PR, to make sure you don't have any kind of hidden assumptions in your own thought process. Yeah, and using screen capture tools such as Loom, Sketch, or Zappy, that you can kind of just click through the app that you're building and show exactly the functionality that you either created or added to. And I think these are all really important. And the PR description, I think, given the template that the Collab Lab has, I feel like that's just such a good template to use moving forward. Even when you go and get jobs and work elsewhere, because a lot of places don't really have, at least, I mean, that might be a generalization. At least where I work doesn't have a PR template of any kind. And so I brought the PR template from the Collab Lab into my own work, which I think has been great. And yeah.
I stole that too, because we were also a small team and they didn't have it, so I just
Yeah, totally.
Exploring code in GitHub, explore commit by commit. So this is just, wow, nice. This is just some tips. You can, if you click on files change, and then you can see the commits over here, you can go through commit by commit to see the updates that were made. And you can review the code for each of those individual parts. This can be kind of interesting too if it's like a bigger amount of work and you want to kind of break down. To be honest, I don't usually look at the commits individually when I'm doing pull requests, but it has been helpful when a bug was introduced, and we were trying to figure out where it happened. So you can kind of test individual commits to see where something that was previously working broke. And then you can also kind of navigate. I think this must be between commits. Do you know if that is true, Tim?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. I almost, like you said, I almost never look at things in this way. But
okay, yeah, but you can move between obviously this, and you can also collapse the files. So once you kind of approve certain files, you can approve. Once you know that you are okay with it or you viewed it, you can click like that you viewed it, and it'll collapse it, so you know how many files are left to look at. Oh,
there you go, getting ahead of yourself.
I know, I do that a lot. Okay, so anyway, here you go. They usually start off as expanded, but this way, especially if you have to break up a larger PR, you can click the ones that you have already checked here, so that you can keep track of where you were.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone wants to share their thoughts from this past week, or even if you have a previous experience, like in code reviews in other places. Did everyone enjoy the code review process? Was that fun, informative, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd like to add that in my past full reveals, we didn't have the template, so it was just kind of whatever you thought about a certain issue and you just put down, and then, but I did enjoy having the template. It makes it very clear and concise of what we needed to put down, and I'm sure it helped with the communication between teams as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally. It's I feel this learning module is about code reviews and not necessarily just PRs, but I feel like the PRs and code review combination is such an important tool for modern developers. It's I think I heard someone say once that the best way to learn a new code base is to look at closed PRs for that code base, because that'll show you, you look at the code and it's kind of in this static state, but when you look at the PRs and the code reviews and how things are being added and how they're talking about it, you really get to get a feel for the code base as this living organism, which is, I think, a more accurate reflection of what it's actually like. So I think, yeah, even go on GitHub to whatever favorite open source project and go look at their pull requests. It's all really interesting, I think, at least. And yeah.
Yeah, especially when they have discussions in the comments about why something is better than something else, and then their indecision based on those. So cool. Anyone else have anything to add?
I also think that the pull request template is pretty cool, because I've worked pair programming before, and then we're like writing the code and then we're like merging it together. So we've never really written anything, but it's nice to like have that track record so you can go back and like see everybody's thoughts. I think it'll become even more useful when we're writing more than like 2 lines of code. So we'll see how week, 2, 3, 4, and 8 feel. Maybe that'll be like really blow our tops off, but I think there's a lot of potential for it to be like really a really valuable tool.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. I mean, I don't know if I've heard of someone in particular using it in some interview, but if you have your code shared and people can kind of peek at your PRs, it's like a nice, having things well documented there is a nice bonus for you too. Okay, great. Well, then we'll move on to the next thing, which is the next issues. Oh, I forgot to pull up the pairs. 1 second. Nope.
I've got them here if you want
Oh, yes, please.
to. Elizabeth and Hanson and Yufa and Olivia.
Okay. No, okay. No. Ah! No, okay, this is like your worst nightmare happening. Okay, we said Hanson and Lizzie.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So okay. This week, no, this is issue
Oh,
3.
yeah, you did the wrong issue.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Okay, I'm
okay.
just making sure everyone feels very comfortable making
We're improvising a little bit. That's fine.
nice. No, I'm not assigning myself. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay, so this week, it gets a little more interesting, I think. So as a user, I want to set up a shopping list so I can start tracking purchased items. So any shopping list you see is associated with a specific 3-word token. We need to allow users to start new lists so that they can see the things they need to buy. And we want each of these lists to be associated with their own items. So to start a new list, we need to do a few things. Generate a new unique token, save the token to local storage, and then show the user the list view once they've entered a token. So up to this point, the app has rendered all the items in the list associated with my test list. Before we allow new users to make new lists, we have to stop showing this as like the default list. So the acceptance criteria is to add the shopping list utils as a dependency to the project. You'll have to update in app.js the string my test list and replace it with null so that it's not defaulting to that one list. This means that users are not automatically subscribed to any list. If a user doesn't already have a token stored in local storage, there should be a button in the home component that allows you to create a new list. Clicking on the button then generates a new token, saves it to local storage, and using the set list token function in app, it does this using the set list token function in app.js. Once the token has been created and stored, the user is then redirected to the list view where they can see their current what the current state of their list. And if a user does already have a token, then they'll be automatically redirected to the list view. So they don't have to go through that process of using the button to generate a new list. So notes for this one are, there's a generate token function in that package, and that should be used to generate the token, the three-word token. More information on that package is here. Oh, wow, this is new since I've seen it. They created their own MP. Nice. So yeah, you can see the functions that they have here. And these are what especially this one is what you'll be using in this ticket. This is something that you'll be using in the future, so you get kind of preview. The setList token function takes one argument, which is the new list token. Eventually, the welcome homepage will look like this wireframe. So they're just giving you kind of a heads up. We're not adding any styling right now, but it's just so that you can kind of get maybe not do something against this goal. It's good for your whole team to look at the wireframe now, but try not to implement visible functionality at once. There are future stories to deal with this, and it will also be kind of up to your team to kind of decide towards the end. So resist as much as you can the styling. And for this story, it's sufficient to just have a simple create list button. Although you are not required to save the token to Firestore, some teams have opted to also save the token to Firestore when generating a token. So that would mean saving the token before there's any list items. Are there any questions on this one?
No, thank you.
Yeah, okay, great. Right, issue 4 leaves. Nice, got it on the first try. Okay, so for this issue, as a user, I want to add a new item to my shopping list so I can start recording my purchases. So users need to be able to add items to their lists. To do this, the add item view should present them with a form that allows them to enter 2 things, the name of the item and an estimate of when they think they'll need to buy the item again. There's a README file here that kind of goes over some important functions that they've added for you to use in order to connect to Firebase. So this is really helpful. They've already pulled out some specific functions for you, and this is great documentation to help you get started. So the UI related tasks are that the add item view displays a form that allows them to enter the name of the item and select how soon they anticipate needing to buy it again. So there should be 3 choices for this. Soon, which corresponds to 7 days, kind of soon, which is 14 days, and not soon, which is 30 days. The input that accepts the name of the item has a semantic label element associated with it. The user can submit this form with both the mouse and the enter key. And when the user submits the form, they can see a message indicating that the item was either saved or not saved to the database. So data related tasks, the console log in the add item function here is replaced with a function that adds the new document to the Firestore database. So you need to update this one. That function will be imported from the Firebase Firestore module. And again, that documentation can help. And the user's soon, not soon, kind of soon choice is used to calculate next purchase, the next purchase date. So I think this is partially implemented here. And then here's some notes. So when this feature is working correctly, the new items will automatically appear. You don't have to go grab them again because you're using a stream list item function. So it's streaming the live data. You'll know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and the keyboard focus moves to that related input. So they included some nice docs here. Users will be able to submit the form with enter if you listen for the right JavaScript event on the right element. If you're adding an on key down listener anywhere, you might be overcomplicating things. So just a hint that there should be a simpler way to get it to trigger on enter. And finally, the add item form has the potential to be a lot of scope. So again, you can consider the same wireframe or the same group of wireframes in order to see just like the basic form that you'll want to include for now. Any questions on this one?
I'm all good.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're thinking about accessibility already. So that's awesome.
Yes, EJ, I think, is one of the mentors that did a big revamp on this. Actually, Tim, you worked with him last time, so you know more about EJ than I do.
Absolutely, yeah. EJ is an accessibility wizard and has a lot of knowledge. So yeah, if you ever have accessibility questions, they are the one to go to.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, I'll stop sharing here. It might be, if you guys are up for it, good to set up the branches again, just to make sure we start off on the right foot, and I can create the threads really quickly so that your discussions are all set once we end. Does that sound good? Does someone from the eager pair want to start? Let's do
I
someone.
know it's like that long pause.
Okay, I have group 4 pulled up right now, so it's Olivia and Yufa. Can one of you share your screen?
Sure. Let's see who. Let me reopen this. Okay. I believe I already pulled all the changes. So I can just create a branch.
Yeah, you can always, if you've already pulled for sure, that sounds good.
Yeah. Olivia, what's her last name?
Sparks.
OS. Okay. What's our assignment again?
You are, as a user, I want to add a new item to my shopping list so I can start recording purchases.
Add a new item. Looks good to you, Olivia?
Yeah.
Cool. And then I think last time, Laura, you said like push it up.
Yes.
Do we need to commit?
You should just be able to do get
Just
push
push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
since you're not adding any files.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you'll need
that's
to do
the
the
yeah, I know.
origin. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the lazy way. Yes, that's how I do it too. Okay, perfect. So, Olivia, if you can just check that you can pull it down and get it set up, but otherwise, can someone from either Lizzie or Hanson do the other one? And so, just to remind you,
Did you want me to do it, Lizzie? I
Go
have
for
it
it,
pulled up.
Hanson.
Okay.
and
Thanks.
your thing is setting up a new shopping list.
Shut. Let's see. Oh. Okay, so already up to date. Then we'll do get checkout. Let's see. L or E EP.
Yep, EP works.
Okay. EP, and then we'll do look okay. New shopping list.
Yep, that's exactly what I would have put.
All right. And then I think it's get add. Get commit.
Should be able to just push since you're not adding
Oh,
files.
right. Um,
Yeah, and you can just copy that command like Yufa did.
Sweet.
Awesome. Olivia, were you able to get the branch from UFA?
Sure did. I'm also thinking I'm the only one that doesn't use terminal in VS Code, so this has been fun to watch.
I know other people at my work use the interface, and it's funny, but it's like less intuitive to me. I'm like, I don't know how to use that. I just need to use the terminal. So
Yeah, that's what I was taught. So I was like, this is comfortable. I know this.
Are you talking about like GitHub desktop? Is that the interface or?
like in VS Code, you can add, there's some little, maybe Olivia, next week, if you can show us you can do the patching and show us how to do it with the interface. But I think,
Oh wait, I'm just using just like iTerm, just like the terminal on my
Nice.
just like terminal
Mm.
window.
That's
I've not done like whatever you're talking about because I don't know what you're talking about, or
Oh,
the
gotcha.
terminal inside the VS Code window. So this is interesting.
oh, I see. Yeah, so in VS Code, you can like create I think Yufa had pulled it up in the beginning. You can create the branch name at the top, and then there's also ways to add commit messages like in the side without remembering to do like git commit -m and things like that. So yeah, but I'm not fancy yet. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, you finished perfectly in time with the other account. So I have, let's see, the two new threads have been pinned. So if you have a second, it might be helpful to just schedule things for this week tonight. But otherwise, I think that's it. Next week, we will do the demos again, but instead of a learning module, we'll do our first retro. So we'll go through that next week, but it'll be a time to kind of reflect on any positive things that have happened, and then also things that we think we can improve on in the future. So it'll kind of tighten up our workflow. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to go eat some dessert.
Yeah, Sunday.
It was nice seeing you all. And also, seriously, awesome job this week. But feel free to ping us if you have any questions. And I think, Tim, are you doing office hours this week, or are you doing code reviews?
I'm doing code reviews.
Okay, so
I think
Viviana.
Viviana's on it.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ping us like you did this week.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks.
Yeah, have a good week.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank
guys.
you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Can't wait to work with you, Olivia.
Yeah, we'll have a good time.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.